Ready?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Back Chat with the Back Doctor. Your host, Dr. Oz here, and today I have a very special guest. Someone that I have been in contact with online many times, and I finally got him in the practice live. And he's someone that has been helping the Illawarra community. He's been helping people become more successful in their businesses. He's built his own business successfully. He's created 2 Guinness World Records, which I am not going to spoil just yet. And he's someone who's got a passion and a heart driven, not just for families, but for people to become more successful. So I'd like everyone to welcome Glenn. Welcome to the episode.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oz. Thanks for having me, mate. Really great to come in here and be part of it.
I'm rocking, man. So
yes.
I know I sort of already mentioned it, but the Guinness World Records. So I thought that would be just freaking awesome to start on.
Yes.
What are your 2 massive records?
So the first one, right? So my background started with guitars. That's how I got involved in business. My dad used to build guitars when I was in high school, right? At home, he was a high school teacher. He actually taught at St. Joseph's Albion Park, just down the road here. He would build guitars and I would learn from him how to build guitars. We started serving some customers. We started building guitars for people, repairing guitars. And down the track, we started to get into retail. We started to sell guitars. And eventually, we opened up a decent sized store. Albion Park, Durgadon Drive. And so to launch this store, this was 2009, I believe. I started to get really involved in the business side. I started thinking, how do we grow a business? How do we market a business? Started to really learn more about entrepreneurship and marketing. I was learning from guys like Richard Branson and guys who were just Tony Robbins, and guys who were really kind of thinking out of the box. And I had the idea to do a Guinness World Record to really launch this new location. And so I started just searching Guinness World Records. What are some records that I could go for? And something I was always a bit competitive with was restringing guitars for our customers. So I would race our other team members and I would see who could restring a guitar the fastest, right? Just a fun little competition, right? And so we would time each other and have this fun thing. And so I started to look up, what if I could break a world record for the fastest guitar restringer in the world? Like, what if I could just do something crazy like that? And so I ended up contacting Guinness World Records, found out the record that I had to beat, and I ended up contacting the Mercury, Illawarra Mercury, Win News. We ended up getting, as much local media involved as we could. We told all our customers and all our friends, and we had this awesome turnout. And I just had all these guitars lined up, and I got a string company, D'Addario, to sponsor us, and I just went through one guitar after the other, just restringing as many guitars as I could. But the thing was, the rules were you had to have the old strings on first, take the old strings off the guitar, replace every one of those strings with a new string, tune every single string so it was perfectly in tune, and you had to have a musician looking over your shoulder, qualified musician, to say that every guitar was in tune before you moved on to every string was in tune before you moved on to the next one. And so I ended up doing 30 and a half guitars in 1 hour, got the world record. And that was just this epic way to really just, for free, promote our new location, get all our customers involved and get the word out that that's where we were. And just the ripple effect after that was crazy. Like, the VB and Carlton ended up getting it on the bottle cap trivia. So I had people sending me these bottle caps from all around Australia. Man, I found another one. They put it in the mail for me. So I've got this collection of bottle caps which say, Glenn Hayworth holds the world record for the most guitar strings restrung. I had people sending me screenshots of the US show Porn Stars, because when someone came to trade in a guitar, the funny little trivia note that they put there, annotation said, Glenn Hayworth is the world record, fastest restring in the world, all this business. And so it was this, years later, it was just this ripple effect kind of started from this fun, silly idea. And it just kind of showed me, wow, the power of just thinking outside the box and doing something crazy like a world record can really help to get your business noticed.
Absolutely. And what really transitioned you now? Like, you went and started up your business, you made it more successful, you got it more visibly known, right? Which is like part of marketing strategies. But what really transitioned you now into, being a coach, wanting to help other businesses as well? What really shifted in your mind with that?
So when I was about 23, 24, I started to really learn more about how to grow a business, how to put on, there's 3 different hats when you run a business, right? The first one is you're an artist or a technician. You're really good at a particular skill, and that's probably why you buy a business or you start a business. You're good at baking pies, right? There's a great book called The E-Myth, revisited by Michael Gerber, which talks about this. You're really good at baking pies, so you're like, I'll start a bakery. But then there's 2 other hats that you've got to learn. You've got to learn how to be the marketer, entrepreneur. So how do you grow this business? How do you get more customers? How do we grow? And the third one is the manager leader. How do I manage my time? How do I manage my expenses? How do I manage people? So I had just started to take the business more seriously because my dad, who originally started the business by building guitars, was always keen to take a step back. He was keen to retire, keen to take it easy up because he worked so hard his whole life. And so I had the opportunity to get more involved and to buy into the business. But in the early years, I wasn't even interested. I just wanted to play in my band and just rock out and just, cruise through uni. And so it wasn't until I started learning about business and I started going to different seminars. I went to all the Tony Robbins seminars, got trained in his leadership program. Amazing dude. If you get a chance to watch the Netflix show, I Am Not Your Guru, gives you a really good insight into what it's like in his seminars. I've done all these leadership training, learned so much from him, Dr. John D. Martini, Michael Gerber, like reading all these business books. And I started to get inspired about actually growing a business. Not just running a business, but growing a business. That really excited me. Yeah. And so then I started to get coaches and I started to look out for who could be my business coach, who could help me, hold me accountable and take these things that I was learning and help put them into a plan and go from where we were to really growing online, opening up another store, eventually opened up a music school program as well. Grew our repair department, had multiple locations, and our e-commerce store was really our main thing that we probably saved our business, maybe as well as the music school, because if you look at any guitar retailer now, if they're still in business, it's almost like they're such a minority, because so many guitar and music stores over the years now have gone out of business because our whole industry shifted. You had to basically go online or you're essentially going out of business. Yeah. So Allen's and Billy Hyde's, a whole chains went under. Whole chains, Allen's and Billy Hyde's. They combined, Allen's and Billy Hyde's. This was something like 12, 15 years ago. But then a few years later, they go under. It was a really hard time for our industry when things were really starting to shift online. So we basically had to grow a social media audience. We had to get our e-commerce store up and running ASAP. We had to think outside the box, so I started the music school program as well. So we started teaching students how to play guitar, how to play drums. We grew to 400 students in quite a short period of time. We had a couple of physical stores then, as well as the online. So I really had to apply this stuff. And so getting coaches to help me over the years, hold me accountable, help me with a plan, keep my spirits up when it was tough and you were going through these, ups and downs of running a business. As people who run a business know, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. Like there's tough times. A lot of businesses are going through tough times at the moment. There's not a huge amount of consumer spending at the moment. So I was getting inspired by these coaches, and eventually I was like, I want to learn this. I love this. I love being coached, and I want to help other people. And so I started to do training, as I said, Tony Robbins training. I did NLP training, got certified in neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy. And I really started to just test and just apply these things. And it wasn't until 6 years ago that I actually started Resolve Business Coaching as a company and started to coach people as well as the guitar business, right? And so I would Tuesday, Thursday, 2 days during the week, I would allocate time just to coach people, and I would start to show other people in business. Christian Lovett from Bean Roasted Cafes, he was pretty much my first client, still with me today, 6 years later. But I was basically like, hey, dude, like, want to open your business? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, he's like, how much do I pay you? I'm like, how much can you afford? Like, just pay me that. That's how I started, but I really grew my skills as a coach from working with business owners, but also just applying what I'd learned in business over the years. And so 6 years later, I've now sold the guitar business. So April last year, 2024, we sold the guitar business, and that allowed me to go full time into the coaching. And really, I did it because it wasn't sustainable anymore for me to be able to, because my coaching ended up just really taking off, and I ended up doing coaching every day, not just Tuesdays, Thursdays. I was coaching businesses every day, And I really wasn't giving Hayworth Guitars the time it deserved, to be honest. Like, I had the music school program, we had online, we had the stores, and the staff needed a leader to be present. And to be honest, I wasn't able to give them the time because I was so passionate about the coaching. I was like, let me focus on this, let me grow this. And so it was time, and also young family, had kids during that time. I've got a 7-year-old boy, a 3-year-old boy. And it was at the time where I was like, you know what, this is not sustainable. I want to follow the passion of coaching. And so made the decision to sell the business, and thankfully we found an amazing buyer, 2 brothers from the Blue Mountains. They already had 20 music schools across Victoria and New South Wales. And they were looking for a retail business to get involved in. They were the perfect fit. They've kept the brand, they've kept the name. They said, we've seen way too many of your Hayworth guitar stickers on cars, Glenn, we can't, mess with the brand now. They've kept the staff. My sister still works there, still talk to the guys, give them some guidance where I can. But they were just the perfect fit, and they're really good guys.
That's awesome. And, you said a couple things that really stood out to me, which I just wanted to recap. First of all is just, being a leader, being a visionary. So as you know, when you have an amazing team, you need to be that leader, you need to be that visionary. Where are we heading?
Yeah.
And just having that, and shifting between 2 different jobs is like a shift of your focus.
Yes.
And when you're having a shift of focus, you're not being able to concentrate in one area.
Yeah.
As well. Like you're not giving you 100% all in on that. And another thing that really resonated with me, this is why you were still running both businesses, starting both out, was when you really talked about, having the whole family together. Yeah. Learning all the different coaches that you've built up and you developed over time. Like you mentioned John DeMartini.
Yeah. Chiropractor, right?
Chiropractor.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Chiropractor originally, but then he became a coach.
Yes.
But he became a coach on just such an amazing level about core values, really finding the deep meaning of like self-developing yourself. He's such an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, freaking so cool.
I forgot he was a chiropractor. Now that you mention it, he talks about that, and been to quite a number of his workshops, the Breakthrough Experience, and he had one called Prophecy that I went to, which was a deeper dive, and really interesting guy.
You mentioned like NLP. I know NLP really well. John DeMartini, Dr. Angus, who's been in practice for 20 plus years now.
Yeah.
He's known John DeMartini really well.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you know Kerwin Ray.
Ray, yes, passed away sadly.
Him and Angus, they actually studied together with John DeMartini.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's going back years.
Wow!
And I've been to Kerwin Ray's. May he rest in peace, but he's seminars as well.
Yeah.
So I know you're a wealth of knowledge. This is why I'm so pumped to have you here today, because I want to be like really specific, because we get people that come in, from all ranges. Let's say that I go, I know Glenn, someone's struggling with their business, or someone's just not happy at the level that they are, and they want to take it to the next level. Like you mentioned, like the economy, right? I think people aren't spending as much, because at the same time, when we're really having a business conversation, it's really about value.
Yes.
Right? Really building value. And how can you provide help to everyone if they were to be like, what can Glenn offer me?
The biggest thing that I think about is, first of all, I like to find out, where do you want to go? So knowing what you want is so important. A lot of the time we focus on what we don't want. We don't want our these bills to keep coming in. We don't want this pain. We don't want this. We need to really get clear on what we do want. So having a clear vision is so important. So having a compelling vision, stepping into the pull energy versus constantly having to push is really key. And if you feel like you constantly have to push and you're constantly fighting through all these struggles, it becomes really hard and it's exhausting. That's how you reach burnout, right?
Can I add a quote on that?
Yeah.
We're pulled by our vision and pushed by our desires.
Right.
Right.
It's true, right? And, there's another great saying, without a vision, the people perish. And you need a compelling vision to get you into that state where you're being pulled towards something. If you can operate in that space, that's the abundance energy versus the feeling of lack. Yeah. And so one of the first things is to get really, really clear about what you want. And how do you do that? Well, Tony Robbins talks about get disturbed. Get disturbed. Get around people who are working towards that vision, who have got a great energy, who are passionate about life, who are just excited. They just get up and they're just ready to go. Get around people like that, because you'll get around them and something will hit you. You'll get inspired. some of that energy will rub off on you. And so quite often we only really change when out of desperation or inspiration. So if you don't want to wait until you get to the point of desperation. You ideally want to get inspired. And so listening to good podcasts is a great example of that. Listening to podcasts, learning from great leaders and mentors and coaches, reading great books, getting around people, getting out of your comfort zone and going to a seminar and just getting around people in a different energy, in a different state, something will hit you. You'll get inspired. And so then it's like you're crafting the vision. And so quite often when I start with people, I have a workbook that we work on, and the first thing is, all right, where do you want to be in 5 to 7 years? Ideally, what's the compelling vision? Ultimately, what does it look like for you? Really picture it, really see yourself there. Like literally close your eyes and go 5 to 7 years and see what that vision looks like.
Like if I were to ask you, how many people will give you a nice 10-page document on 5 to 7 years?
Well, it's pretty rare, right? Like some people I meet with, they really struggle to even think about, I don't even know where I want to be 5 to 7 years. That's too far. I'm just working through, just getting through the challenges I've got right now.
Yeah.
And I just want to, Glenn, I'm just trying to get through today. And so that's why pulling yourself out of the day-to-day and looking at that bigger perspective, it's a really big shift.
Yeah.
And when you can operate from that place, then that's a compelling vision that you feel pulled towards. And when you're operating in that space, you're going to show up differently.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to show up in a different energy to work or to your family. And when you can operate from that place on that energy level, on that vibration, because really it's vibrations, right? It's your vibrational frequency. When you're at that vibration, you're in a different place. You bring a different energy. Good things start to happen. You start to just look for opportunities rather than just seeing all the problems.
That's right. Energy, right? It's like we say, when energy is up, practice is up. When energy is down, practice is down, right?
Yes.
Your vibration. How do you approach people? If you're always in a mindset, like you said, if you're always focusing on the negatives, that's all you're going to see.
Yeah.
There's always going to be negative stuff, but you go, look, we need to focus on what opportunities lie in front of us.
Yes.
And when you have that type of vibration, that type of mindset, that type of vision in front of you,
Yeah.
just growth happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I would say the most important thing. Like your emotional state will pretty much determine your marketing. Like we could talk strategy, we could talk marketing strategy. That's all important stuff. But what's most important is your emotional state, because how you show up is everything. If you show up to a sales call with someone in a low energy state, you're not going to influence anyone. You're not going to inspire anyone. You're not going to inspire anyone to move, to take action, and you're not going to fill them with any confidence. You've got to show up in a high energy state. And so your emotional state is the most important thing. And then from that place, we've got to break it down to a plan and I like to work on 90-day milestones, because in 90 days, it's enough time to get something done, but there's still some urgency around it. There's still, okay, we've only got 3 months. What can we do in 3 months? So I'll help prioritize what we're going to work on. We'll set actions, and then we'll get to work.
Love it.
And a lot of the time in business, if we're going to talk about really practical things to work on, social media, where's everyone's attention? It's on their phone. All right, so I'm very passionate about social media. Yeah. It's how we were able to go from a physical brick and mortar store to transition to online and essentially build a multiple 7-figure online business, not just the physical stores, but online started to take over our physical stores. So we got the attention from being on social media. So our Instagram, I would focus on, I went so hard on Instagram when it came out that I got kicked off Instagram multiple times for following too many accounts in one day. It was like, Instagram was like, just chill out a little bit, man. Like you're going a bit hard on this. So, and I would look for entertaining content to post, and we had some of our content really blow up. Some of our content went viral, and we would use that traffic and we would send it to our stores, to our website, because that's where people's attention is, right? And whether it's Instagram for you, or whether it's Facebook or TikTok or LinkedIn or YouTube, but that short form content was really a game changer. So I think if you're in business and you're looking to be seen, you have to look at social media and whatever platform that is for you, and looking at ways to just create content, just like what you're doing here, right? And this is long form content, which is even more powerful. You can get attention with short form content, but if you can create long form content like this in a podcast or a YouTube video, people really build trust with you. For people to have to do business with you, they have to know, like, and trust you first. If they don't know, like, and trust you, they're not going to do business with you.
Correct.
So this is how you get known. This is how you get them to like you, and this is how you build trust. Is you start answering their questions, you start making content, you start talking about the common questions that your customers already ask you. You start to show your personality and your team's personality and the fun side of your business. That's how we build trust. People want to deal with people. They don't just want to deal with a business. They want to deal with people. They want to put their trust in people, in a brand. And so I think social media is such a huge one. And for me, it's Instagram. I love Instagram. I think it's a great platform. I think the quality of users there are often great for the businesses that I've been involved in and most of the business that I coach. TikTok's a great one to look at as well. LinkedIn if you're a B2B business, and YouTube Shorts, great for short form, but also YouTube's great for long form content, and then obviously podcasts as well. So I think that's one of the biggest things the businesses can work on these days, or people, if you're building a brand.
Yes, and like I'm just gonna put a 2-second pause here because I just want everyone here to take a moment and just realize that Glenn is a brain full of knowledge. You can just see he's got so much to give. He's got so much knowledge, so much action taking. He's got so many outcomes that he can provide for people. He just mentioned short form content. He mentioned long form content. Know, like, and trust. And know, like, and trust, if you do it well, your business is going to be already rocking off and sailing to the next level. He can unpack all of it, but we don't have enough time, right? But the reason why I've got you here is because I want people to recognize that.
Yeah.
Because you are someone that loves to give, pretty much give, love, and serve is what we say in chiropractic, right?
Yes.
Give, love, and serve. You want to give, you want to love, and you want to serve the community.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that, guys, is like make sure you do let us know. Reach out to Glenn. I'll make sure I have all his information. So if you do ask us, we can just pass you straight on to him. So I just want to preface that before we jump back into
Thanks so much. No, thanks for the kind words. I really appreciate it.
Everything you say resonates, right? Because that's literally how we do things here in the practice ourselves.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people might not know, but I have my own coach, right? I have a chiropractic coach that coaches me, and I've been coaching for 7+ years. I also have a speaking coach, right? So I have 2 coaches because I understand the value of communication.
Yes.
How it's so important to make sure people feel heard. And sometimes I can be in my head talking about all the anatomy and all the intricacies of how the spine, the nervous system all work. Yeah. And if I just blur, people are going to be like, what the hell are you saying? Versus I can speak more fluently. I can slow down. Just keep the main points and speak in metaphors. Give great examples. Like, for example, kink in a hose. Now it's not flowing, so your spine, your nervous system is not communicating properly. Remove that kink, the hose in the water flows effectively, your body is flowing effectively. Simple metaphor.
Absolutely. Examples like that, storytelling. So this relates to content as well as speaking to a customer or even speaking on stage or running a workshop, which we've got a lot of experience with that. I used to actually go to schools and play music and speak to students about resilience and gratitude and things like that. So I learned from that experience, and also being in a band, you play in front of people and you learn how to interact with the crowd. But yeah, you're exactly right. Storytelling is so powerful. People will switch off sometimes if you're just trying to teach them something, but if you're telling a story, I mean, we love watching a story. That's why we'll binge watch an entire series of something on Netflix for the story.
I've been
right? We've all done it. We'll do it for the story, yeah? And so storytelling with examples are a great way to interact and to keep people's attention. And you'll see a lot of the content, the educational style content that I'll consume these days, it's usually someone telling a story, because we often see ourselves in the story. So it's a powerful way to connect.
Yes.
And also I find that when you're speaking to people is if you can stop and just ask questions like, is that making sense? Or, that's why I like to ask the question, like, where do you want to be in 12 months time? Where do you want to be in 5 to 7 years time? Tell me about that. What are your biggest pain points right now? What are your biggest challenges? I'll often work through those in our coaching sessions, because if I can find out what your biggest challenge is right now, your biggest pain point, and help you remove that bottleneck, game changer. Yeah. But if I just come in and start trying to assume where the problem is and start trying to say, oh yeah, well, you should be on social media, you should be doing this. Maybe they've already got enough customers and they just can't grow because they don't have the team. That's or the systems aren't in place for them to be able to grow. Or they're not prioritizing their time. They're doing everything rather than learning how to delegate and manage their time well.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming they should be marketing themselves on social media when that's not actually the problem. That'll create more problems. And so I think listening, asking good questions is such a great way to really work on communication
It's
too,
almost
right?
like a diagnosis process, right? You're asking the right questions to find this. If you don't ask questions, you're not going to know.
Yes.
Like you said, you assume. And when you assume, you're not really finding you might,
Yes.
here I go, terrible analogy. You've got a target, you got the bullseye. If you ask specific questions, which direction, how to throw it, you're more likely to hit the bullseye.
Yes.
But if you're just going, oh, you know what, I'm just going to throw this dart,
Yes.
you're going to miss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So what you really said though, when you talk about asking questions,
Yeah.
the more specific you can find where the true problem lies, the more what's the right word I'm looking for? A lot of businesses don't know their numbers, right? They don't know what they don't know, first of all. So coaching is really great in terms of looking at your blind spots.
Yes.
You don't know what you don't know. That's the first thing. But the second thing is you don't know your numbers. Oh, 1 month I'm like this, 1 month I'm like this. And then you ask them why. I don't know. I just think I don't have enough customers.
Yeah.
But that might not be the case. You might not be selling one certain item, or you might not be addressing this one area, or your expenses might be too high. You just don't know.
You might not be adding enough value for the customers that you already have, or you might be neglecting the current customers and not getting them back more often, because the frequency matters in particularly in chiropractic business too, right? Like some businesses frequency isn't as important, but you've got to make sure that if you're that kind of business that relies on that repeat customers, you've got to make sure you dial that in. Are you checking in? Are you sending the "we miss you" text? This one's a big one for salons. I work with hairdressers, salons. You've got to send a "we miss you" text to the customers you haven't heard from.
Massive.
Tell them we miss you. Tell them we want to see you again. Maybe even do an incentive to get them back. And are you asking for referrals? And are you asking for testimonials and reviews? People will believe more about what you say about you, what others say about you, than what you say about you. So your reviews, your testimonials are so important, right?
It's like if I tell you something, that's me telling you something.
Yeah.
If you tell me,
Yes.
that means everything.
Absolutely.
Right? And yeah, internal referrals, people that just refer others, they're always the greatest quality. But now that we've moved to a digital age, that's why know, like, and trust is so important. And you actually getting yourself out there. If it's not you yourself, your team.
Yeah.
Right? Your team can be the face.
Yes.
You don't necessarily have to be the face, but you need to make sure
Yeah.
that your business is, hey, we're here. Because I guarantee you, if you're not talking about yourself, you're just going to go unnoticed, under the radar.
Yes, absolutely. And even if you are creating content, and it might be a nice Canva post, and you know, you want to make sure the audience feels something when they watch it. It either needs to educate them, or create an emotional feeling, or it needs to entertain them in some way. And it really needs to be human. And so, you know, I put up a post just a few days ago, and it was this remix of this funny reel where it was from an old movie. This guy was looking over the balcony, he was escaping from someone, and he was jumping off the balcony, going down about 12 stories and landing in the pool, right? He was escaping from someone. And I put the text up the top. This is what small business owners do when I tell them to put their face on social media more, right? And I had a lot of my clients commenting, and they were saying, yep, we hear it, you told us a million times, this is what I used to be like. Because it's true, right? It's kind of, it can be a really big fear for people to actually get out there and to promote themselves, to actually put their face on a video and actually talk to a camera, or actually put themselves up. And so it doesn't always have to be video. You don't always have to speak to the camera like this. I mean, it's great if you can, but maybe you feel more confident in written format and putting a nice photo of you up, but then just telling a story in the text.
Yes.
Or putting the value in the text, or putting a photo up of you and saying, hey, here's the biggest mistake that I made in my career or in my business, and here's how I solved it, right? And so, or audio can be great. So you could do a nice reel, a nice short form video of you just doing some B-roll footage, working on your computer, serving a client, right? Put that up, but then have a voiceover go over the top and talk about what you want to talk about. In a voiceover, you don't have to be speaking on camera the whole time. So there's ways around that too, where you can still show up, but it doesn't always have to be speaking on the camera directly like that too.
Yeah. And the way is, like, when you meet these people in person, they are the best. they speak so well, they communicate so well, but the moment you mention online, and it's just like, oh, I'm drawn in. And just those other solutions you already mentioned, those are all gold mines.
Yeah.
Those are all nuggets just there to take away and start to implement.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, Glenn, like, we're going to start wrapping this episode up, unfortunately.
Yes.
But is there any last bit of message or last bit of feedback that you'd like to give all the listeners in for today?
I think where my brain goes with that is just start, and practice is key. Like, are you confident in tying your shoes? Most people say, yeah, I can tie my shoes. How come? Well, I'm teaching my kids now. You've got to do it. When you do it so many times, you become so confident at it. The only reason you watch people online, they can speak so well on camera, it's because they get rewarded in public for what they practice in private. You do it over and over again. That's why Steph Curry is the best shooter in the world, right? He shoots something like 1,000 3-pointers a day, something like that, right? It's just muscle memory. He's just done it so many times. That's why he's such a confident shooter. And so you need to just start, and you just need to practice. If you just grab your phone like this and just start speaking on camera, you don't have to post it. You can just do it as practice, but hit record, put the pressure on a little bit, and just start speaking to the camera. Start with adding them to your stories first before making them a post if you want. Just chuck them up in your stories. They go on in 24 hours, right? Who cares? Just start getting yourself out there. Start using it as practice. I used to go to Toastmasters and Toastmasters Adapto Leagues Club on a Monday afternoon when I started speaking at schools and things, just to get my confidence up and speaking in front of people. And that's what it's great for, is just start speaking. Just take that step. And that relates to anything. It might not relate to you in the content side of things, but it might relate to you in the thing that's holding you back from leveling up. It might be your business or just taking the next step in life.
Yep.
What is it for you? What are you avoiding right now that you can just take action on? Take that next step. It doesn't have to be a huge monumental leap. It can just be one step. It might just be to send the text message to the accountability partner. It might be to reach out to a coach or to a mentor. It might be to join a networking group. It might be just to sign up to the next workshop, whatever it is. But take that next step, push yourself to get out of your comfort zone, because nothing grows in the comfort zone, right?
Massive. Nothing grows in the comfort zone.
It's one of the biggest things.
I say we've got to end this episode. Here I am going with another analogy. There's a concept of syntropy and entropy. Have you heard those two terms before?
Yes.
So entropy is when things decay over time. You just leave it, there's no energy put into it, things decay. Syntropy, you put the time, energy and focus, things grow.
Yeah.
Right? So like you said, if you're in a comfortable zone, that's entropy.
Yes.
Things are always going to decline.
Yes.
You're never ever going to be in a state where it's just like this. I believe life is either up or down.
Yeah.
And if you put your energy always into the right places, you're always going to be going upwards.
Absolutely.
All right, let's end it there. Guys, Glenn is an amazing coach. As you can see, we just gelled freaking here. So reach out. Let's get you connected with him. And Glenn, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oz. I really appreciate being on. And yeah, if you want to connect with me, I spend a lot of time on Instagram. It's just Glenn with 2 N's, Hayworth without the Y, _coach. Shoot me a message. I'd love to connect with you and just hear from you, and if you've got some value from this episode.